Back again with another video. Low light conditions means very grainy videos, but I'm using my Yeti Blue mic, so the sound is probably okay. The difference between PAL and NTSC gaming. For modern consoles it pretty much is totally gone, but for older consoles, especially the 8, the 16 and the 32-bit era, PAL countries suffered because often the games were just not very lazily ported and they ran a lot slower, 20% slower actually. Now you could compensate for it. You could actually tweak and tune the software so that it actually ran at the same speed on, you know, an NTSC system and a PAL system, but you know, that took too much time. So basically the software developers actually never did that, almost never did that. Now consoles suffered the most. Also resolution of the PAL screen is about 20% more defined, high resolution, than the NTSC screen, so 20% more lines, which basically means that on Nintendo systems, for example, and also other systems, you would have black bars on the top and the bottom of the image, and the image would not be full screen, it would just be squashed in, because, you know, only the same amount of lines as on the NTSC system were used. So yeah, you had 20% black screen, so it's very lazy, very lazy. Now on the home computer front, it wasn't as bad because often they use different programming techniques, but there's quite a bit of software on the Commodore 64 originating in the US that actually suffers the same thing. Donkey Kong on from Nintendo on the C64 is a prime example of it running much slower on the PAL unit than on the NTSC unit, in such a way that the 20% speed difference makes the game very hard to play on PAL and very easy to play or very playable on the NTSC system. Let's go check it out. Now, actually, this difference between PAL and NTSC, you hit upon something that is actually quite interesting in Commodore 64 country, because of the NTSC and the PAL difference being so great, often popular games would have two ports, would receive an American NTSC port and the European PAL port. Now, for Donkey Kong, actually there was a version programmed by Ocean, that was intended for the European market, and the speed of that game was more or less the intended speed. And I'll show you a bit of footage of this game right now. This is actually the ocean version of Donkey Kong, and you can see it's very similar yet quite different. Now with this with this PAL version of the game is actually running a bit faster than the original NTSC version by Nintendo. But at the same time, the screen is rather squashed. But as you can see, it's running a lot faster, but it's running at a lower resolution. I prefer actually the NTSC port. Look, it's very hard to play. Let's see if I can actually make the first level. Oh, timing is so off. Let's try it again. Now this would probably run crazy fast on the NTSC machine, so I'll perhaps I'll just make a version running this on my NTSC 128 to show you how it runs. Probably unplayably fast, but there's a steady flow of things moving your way. Holy crap. This is a tough game. It's actually it's tougher to play than the NTSC version of the Nintendo version on the Commodore 64. Now what I don't like about this sprite is the fact that there does seem to be some sort of part of the floor being animated on the sprite as well. Ah, bloody hell. Yeah, it would be interesting to find out how this would run on the NTSC version. Now that's another issue, that quite a bit of the PAL software for a Commodore 64, an American Commodore 64, a lot of the times it would run too fast. But let's go check it out how it runs on NTSC. Okay, so now we have the Ocean Donkey Kong game decompressing on the on NTSC, but let's see how this one works. So Donkey Kong Ocean running on NTSC. And it hangs. It hangs. So yeah, you can't play this version on the NTSC. It just hangs.